Hi everyone, welcome to Value. So today we're looking at Veru, and the stock jumped 39%, which is phenomenal to see a stock jump that much, though we know it's kind of was in a downtrend and it was heading towards that kind of below that $10 area if it continued that way. Good thing is it's been stopped and it's going up based on some words the FDA said. So we're going to dive into that today. So we've got this article here. FDA staff flags uncertainties on Veru's COVID drug. EUA hopes lift shares. So what did the FDA say? So FDA reviewers at the US Food and Drug Administration on Monday identified several uncertainties around Veru's data for its experimental COVID-19 drug, but did not raise any new concerns, sending the shares up 52%. So it did go quite high on that day, about $15.60. So it did fall back over $1 based on people taking profit and possibly people kind of exiting the stock ahead of the meeting, because some of them might be perceiving a lot more risk after the stock price did have a pretty heavy fall. Like we saw the stock go about $10.37. So I think a lot of people kind of fear that if things do not go the right way, then potentially the stock goes gets sold down. But it can also happen in the reverse as well, that hey, if they do get an approval, stock does very well. Right, so further to this article, the reviewer did not offer any strong arguments against the emergency use authorization, even as they flagged the small sample size of the trial that showed the drug reduced death rates. So there we go. So they didn't offer any strong arguments against it. So that means they've got more of an argument for it than against it. But clearly there is some issues around the data that they want to clarify. So as I say, data did not help clearly identify a relevant patient population, and the high death rates in a placebo group in the trial may raise questions about the results. So they do have some problem about the data not identifying certain patient populations, which potentially the FDA may come back to Veru and go, we may approve this, but we're only approving this on the condition that while you get this approval, you continue to gather more data, which is what I think they're highly likely to do. I don't think they're going to give a straight approval, because they're not going to feel like things but they're not going to approve something and then not ask further questions if there's so many uncertainties, right? So as they continue, none of these uncertainties or imbalances alone invalidate the mortality benefit. So there's some clear benefits, and uncertainties and imbalances that come through, they don't have any problems with it. So that's probably the major statement that comes out of this, that they're saying clearly, there are some issues, but the results are just pretty overwhelmingly strong, that potentially, they will approve this, but they will require more data. But all of these issues together in a small trial, which is more vulnerable to imbalances, raises questions about the results. So same thing, they're going to likely want more data, but it means there's a considerably high chance of an approval based on what the FDA staff is saying. But we do have the advisory committee, which are meant to be more external parties to this, so potentially they may have a different opinion, which is kind of what we're going to have to wait for and see how it goes. The FDA does not always follow what the opinion of the advisory committee says, but most cases they do. So in a way, this kind of validates that, hey, FDA may not listen to this advisory committee, even if they come back quite negative. If they come back positive, then it's much more stronger, of course. So based on the advisory committee, do not fear if it comes back negative. I think these positive comments in a way kind of shine a bit more light on things, and potentially we could see an approval. And yeah, I think so most of this is just a rehash of what we know, and basically it's pretty good so far. We've gotten some good news on the FDA kind of seeing some issues, and it's but they don't see it as something that kind of makes the results inaccurate entirely. So they kind of feel the result overall is still strong enough to stand on itself, stand alone, that I don't think they're going to shoot this down. But yeah, like, we'll have to see how things go. But so far, really nice comments, particularly from the FDA, to come out and clarify. And yeah, like, it kind of clarifies a lot of things, especially with all this waiting. We've been waiting for so long, and it's actually really nice to have some comments from the FDA around how this might just be decided. And I think these comments really go a long way to go. The FDA does overall see this as in a positive light, hence why the market is overwhelmingly happy around this. Look at the volume. The volume was 55 million shares, whereas the average was around 6 million shares. So we have, a massive volumes of people buying stock based on these comments. So you can see the market is interpreting it in a fantastic way. Of course, people would have been trading the stock. This is a heavily shorted stock as well. So we only need continued momentum, continued good news, and the stock will continue to power upwards. And this is what we're seeing based on these comments from the FDA. So overall, I think it kind of gives me some confidence. But of course, we still have to wait to see what the advisory committee says. What they say could be quite different from the FDA, because they're external. Well, they're meant to be seen as an external party with with minimal conflict of interest. But yeah, at the end of the day, we just have to wait and see. And we're really not that far away. We're literally like a day away. So we've waited so long. Fingers crossed things will go well. And I will make a video once we have more information, or potentially if the share price does really well, I might make a video just because I'm happy. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.